I'm Colonel R.G. Cole, Lieutenant Colonel R.G. Cole, 3rd Battalion, 502nd Parachute Infantry, 101st Airborne Division. We were ordered on June 10th to come up this road, take Carentan, and proceed some mile and a half beyond Carentan to a point called Baïonnette as the battalion objective. Initially, the attack was ordered for 3 o'clock in the morning. However, on reaching this bridge here, the engineers had not been able to put a footbridge across for the battalion due to heavy shell fire on the bridge. Again, in the morning of the 10th, the regimental commander, Colonel qu'il, told me that the division commander desired me to go ahead with my attack that day. On reconnaissance about noon of the 10th, we came down to the bridge, Captain Clements of Company G and myself and several men, look around the area in the daylight. We found that the bridge was not under very heavy shell fire, and that by being cautious and keeping well dispersed, we could perhaps stretch a rope across the bridge where it was blown out, and by using some of this tin fencing there, put a passable footwalk across. This we did, and we finished it up about 3 o'clock. About 3:30, the initial elements of the battalion, a leading platoon of G Company, commanded by Lieutenant Irwin, started across, 1 man at a time, in about 1 minute intervals. We had no trouble with enemy fire initially. However, as soon as the men got along the banks here in any numbers, and if they did not stay down, the enemy fired quite heavily on the roadway and on the bridge. Also, at times when the men tried to get across the bridge and with their machine guns and their ammunition, and 2 or 3 of them would get bunched up there, the enemy would open fire and shooting 88 that would come right across and land in the water. Whitten, tell us about the time when you went across now. Now, Whitten.
Just a minute. Try it again.
Now, Whitten, suppose you tell about your part in this breakers here when you left camp or left your bivouac area down through the bridges here.
Yes, sir. My company received orders to move at 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. We arrived at the first bridge without any trouble and started crossing it single file. With 1 man would go across it, he'd get on the other side, another would follow him, about 10 yards apart. We crossed the first bridge and got to the second one, which was under rifle fire, sniping fire, and 88 fire. The company commander had the 3rd platoon cross the bridge, and they took up position on the other side. And I was sent across to find out what the situation was. And to cross that bridge, you had to cross on a rope. That this piece of fence had been made, strung across 2 ropes and made a wobbly bridge. But we managed to cross that bridge, take up position in a ditch on the other side of this bridge. All the time, the snipers were firing at us.
Lieutenant Colonel R.G. Cole, 3rd Battalion, 502nd Parachute Infantry, 101st Airborne Division. My battalion was ordered to attack these bridges along here, go south of Carentan to a point called Baïonnette. This was initially ordered for 3 o'clock in the morning, February 10th of June 10th, 1944. However, the engineers who were supposed to rebuild this bridge here or put a footbridge across it for the battalion were unable to do so at that time due to the fire, heavy fire on the bridge. Later on in the morning, after that initial attack was called off, the regimental commander ordered me to proceed with an attack during daylight. On reconnaissance that afternoon with Captain Clements of Company G, my battalion, we thought we could build a footbridge across there, satisfactory for use by the battalion, and make it out of some rope and some fencing that was laying around. That we did, and by 3 o'clock we had the bridge ready for use. At approximately 3:30, the leading element of the battalion, the platoon from Company G, commanded by Lieutenant Irwin, crossed the bridge and proceeded south along the road here. Sergeant Whitten, suppose you tell about the time from the bivouac area down to this bridge. All right, the battalion stayed in position along the causeway there the remainder of the afternoon of June the 10th, and were unable to do anything. What it amounted to was a column of files along each side of the road. They were under heavy fire from these emplacements over in this area. We stayed there during the night, and about 1 o'clock, the Nazis bombed us with 2 planes, which fortunately were soon gotten by our own Air Force. During the morning, early morning hours, about 4 o'clock, we were able to infiltrate men across the bridge there one at a time at about 1-minute intervals, and we got them, the majority of the battalion, pretty well scattered up along the road here and on the field on the other side of the road. And at 5 o'clock, we started out on our original objective. At 5:15, however, just as we'd gotten well dispersed and started moving in good fashion, fire was opened up on us from these positions back in here, and we immediately had to seek cover wherever we were. We stayed in this position until 6:15. Fortunately, I had the artillery liaison officer from the 377th right by my side, and he was able to set his radio up and contact the artillery, and we had artillery fire continuously all over this area here and back along there and up the road towards Carentan. This went on for about 45 minutes, and then I called for smoke to be laid all over the area, especially down in this area here, and when it was thick enough, I issued the order for a bayonet charge. These orders I passed, controlled, had to be issued verbally because most of the radios were not working, and I had to pass them up and down the ditches inside the road and also back through the column just by individuals. The orders were pretty well understood, however, and on the whistle signal, the 3/4 of the battalion rose up out of the ditch and charged across this direction here and across in through there, with the initial objective being the orchard the other side of the house here. However, due to the intense fighting and the many machine gun positions and dug-in positions, many men got scattered out and went where what it involved was a fight of individuals against individual machine gun nests. This fighting went on pretty heavily until about 10 o'clock, then it slackened down. Around 11, however, the Nazis came back at it, and we pushed them off again. Then, during the afternoon, we got orders from regiment that there would be an attempted truce, and we were to hold our fire. We held our fire and till about 3 o'clock. However, then we got word that the truce was over, and immediately the Nazis began attacking again. At this time, the situation became so serious due to the fact that we had never been able to reorganize, and due to the fact that we'd always been under heavy fire during the day, that the Nazis nearly pushed us back of this house here. Finally, about 6:30, I called for artillery concentration just about 50 yards the other side of the house, which was given to me, and I believe that scared them out, because from then on, we were able to push on through. At 5:15, we were fired upon and had to hit the ditch or hit any cover we could get. We stayed there, and I saw that the only solution was either to withdraw back the bridge and run the chance of getting everybody killed withdrawing, to attack this position, or just lie in the ditches and be sniped to death. So I called for artillery fire, which I received, and then issued order for bayonet charge. be on the whistle signal. At 6:15, the majority of the battalion took off across this field here and charged right up in this direction here, over those emplacements and over through this direction.